My name is Gretchen Kother, and this is Louise Hudson, and we're with the Lee County Federated Republican Women, and we're continuing with our candidate interviews, and today we are talking to Elisa Martinez. Hello, how are you?
Hi, Gretchen. Hi, Lee. This is Elisa Martinez. I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me today.
Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure thing. So again, Elisa Martinez, I'm running for United States Senate. I was born and raised in Gallup, New Mexico. I'm the only native New Mexican in the U.S. Senate race. I witnessed firsthand, McKinley County, where I grew up, is one of the poorest counties in the country. And I witnessed firsthand the devastating impact of big government, socialist-style policies on the Indian reservations near Gallup, which is why I've always been a lifelong Republican and has supported, the Republican platform.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Elisa, we're going to ask you our first question here, and that would be, what would your policy be on the border policy?
Well, in 2017 through 2018, according to the White House, there were over 325,000 illegal immigrants arrested. Of those, I believe 100,000 were for assault, 35,000 were for sex crimes, and 4,000 for homicides. And so we know, the human and child sex trafficking, as well as the cartel activity, is creating a public health crisis. So I fully support President Trump's plan to secure the border by building the wall, increasing funding for our Border Patrol agents, for ICE, for immigration judges, and detention centers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, question number 2. What would your energy policy be for the future of our country?
Well, the energy industry is a backbone of our nation's economy, and it very much is here in New Mexico, with 40% of our revenue coming from our oil and gas industry, over 7 million jobs nationally, with 50,000 jobs here, well-paying jobs here in New Mexico. So I support, growing the oil and gas industry, removing some of the burdensome regulations, streamlining the permitting process, and updating some of our aging pipelines, as well as the energy grid. In addition to that, I support the Republican Party platform to develop other sources of energy using free market principles, like hydropower, again, growing our oil and gas industry, and other sources of energy, and just in energy using free market principles.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, then question number 3 is that the Affordable Care Act has not been working very well effectively for most Americans. How would you remedy this situation?
Well, the Affordable Care Act is anything but affordable. We've ever since that act was initiated, we've seen a skyrocketing increase in insurance premiums at healthcare costs and pharmaceutical costs. Now, the Democrats have a 3-second soundbite solution to this problem, which is Medicare for all. I support, number one, in addressing the situation, we need to reduce the overall cost of healthcare. We need to lower insurance premiums, but also increase the quality and accessibility of care for all Americans. Now, we can all agree on that, but again, I don't think a one-size-fit-all government takeover of our healthcare system is the answer, especially being a recipient of government-run healthcare in the Indian Health Services, as well as the VA. We can see that government-run healthcare does not work. And so I support, part of the solution in doing that needs to be promoting preventative care and primary care. Number 2, we need to increase transparency in our healthcare costs, and that starts with the pharmaceutical drug costs, which we've seen President Trump initiate that process, I believe by 2021, and then increase insurance coverage options for families so that we can all work together to reduce the cost of healthcare and increase the quality for every American.
Okay, great. All right, so the last question we have for you that you haven't seen is what would your policy be on federal bailouts?
You mean like the CARES Act?
Anything that you'd like to address, anything on any type of federal bailout. It's just an open question.
Well, I think the biggest concern right now with bailouts, is the deficit, and we don't have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem. Prior to the COVID crisis, I think right now the number one priority for our economy and for hardworking Americans and small business owners across the nation is that we have to resurrect our economy. This is a situation where I believe that I would support a stimulus package like the CARES Act, but we have to make sure and ensure that pork and wasteful spending, like the $25 million that went to the Kennedy Center, to bailing out, NPR and other entities that have nothing to do with these issues, is monitored, and I would not support those particular measures. So.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you spending some time with us. And again, if you would just go ahead and state your name and what race you're running in, please.
Sure. And I think part of the question was that what makes me qualified for the position.
That's fine.
Okay. I don't think I had a chance to answer that. So again, it's Elisa Martinez. I'm running for United States Senate here in New Mexico. I've worked with every level of government, from working with the governor's office. I've served at the legislature. I've drafted legislation. I've worked as an expert witness and policy analyst in the New Mexico legislature. I've worked with the Congressional Select Panel on Infant Lives in 2016, and more recently, I serve on the White House Coalition for Hispanic Engagement. Additionally, I founded my own organization, New Mexico Alliance for Life. It's a statewide organization where we took on the radical left and won. I'm the only candidate in the race who has done that here in New Mexico by mobilizing over 30,000 New Mexicans to defeat radical abortion up to birth and infanticide legislation in Santa Fe, both in 2019 and 2020.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate your spending time with us today. Very much so.
Well, thank you, ladies. This is really cool. I appreciate it, and I thank you for taking the initiative to promote candidates and help us get our issues and concerns out there. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Okay. Bye bye.